Hello, all. Jace here. In this segment, we're going to discuss what everybody is talking about right now, which is the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson um, in the streets of New York City on Wednesday. We're going to talk a little bit about where the investigation is at, but also what they're saying the underlying cause is of the killing. Um, so they're going into the fourth day. There's been a few updates. Um, they said that they found a backpack. That one seems a little spurious. I mean, the backpack doesn't really make a lot of sense. There's nothing that I have heard that's actively tying it to the suspect, but that's what they're saying. Saying they found a backpack. It was full of Monopoly money, which kind of makes sense when you think about it. When they're talking about all the stuff that kind of surrounds this assassination. But it does sound like that they're finding clues. There's other stories that say that they do have a suspect. They have a suspect's name. They're just not releasing it yet. So I think they're clamping down. I'm pretty sure they're going to find this guy. Um, However, some of the other stuff you're seeing on here, they're talking about this is an image of him leaving the subway tunnel right before the shooting, I believe. And then the photo that they've released everyone, and you look, I am not a forensic detective. I've never claimed to be, but that's definitely a black coat and a gray backpack. Then they're releasing this picture saying this is a photo of the suspect. I see nothing in that photo that tells me that that guy is that guy, but that's what they're saying. Like I said, I do think it's really hard to commit a crime like this, especially such a high profile crime, and get away with it. So I have no doubt that they're going to find this guy. Um, but I think what's more important is going into the what they're saying the possible motives behind the assassination were. They found spent or not ejected shell casings. The shooter, if you haven't seen the video, I'm not going to show it, but if you haven't seen it, the guy shot. He ejected a cartridge, shot again, ejected a cartridge, shot again. And they're talking about exactly why that would be, why he did that. But on the shell casings, he had written the words delay, deny, and depose on the shell casings. So everybody's automatic, they're going to the conclusion that this is probably about UHC. That's what I'm going to call United Healthcare from now on, just for the sake of time. But UHC's policies in denying healthcare claims, and this assassination was in reaction to that. Now, first off, we're going to get into this garbage human being, Taylor Lorenz. She was a Washington Post reporter. Now she started her own her own website, her own Substack, and I'm quite sure her recent comments are probably to help promote that Substack. But she has basically said that he deserved to die. Um, these healthcare CEOs deserve what they're getting. Things of that nature. Is she also posted the picture of a Blue Cross Blue Shield CEO who, after Blue Cross Blue Shield stated that they are going to start denying claims on anesthesia if the surgery takes over a certain amount of time. Now, I'm not sure exactly how that works. If the patients just wake up in the middle of surgery, or I guess that just means that they would get stuck with the bill. And if any of you have had surgery, those anesthesia costs are outrageous. But she's posted the picture of this CEO. She has reposted other people's comments talking about how Thompson deserved to die, other people deserve to die, all this stuff, and she's claiming that it's okay because she didn't say it. She's just a person with a large audience who she's hoping will become a much larger audience, and she's reposting other people's thoughts. Now, as far as I'm concerned, she should just, I mean, I don't think she should be put in jail or anything like that, but she should absolutely be banned from these platforms. Now, Blue Sky, they're not going to ban anybody that's liberal. I mean, we already know that they're trying to become the new X for flaming leftists, and so they're not going to do anything to her. But she should absolutely be banned from these platforms. She is promoting hate. That is, I mean, her doing that is promoting hate speech. Um, I believe in the First Amendment. I believe that these people have the right to get on there and be idiots. Now, not if that comes to actual calls to violence or doxing people like she's trying to do. I do not think that should be covered under the First Amendment. But just saying, hey, we hate these healthcare CEOs too. I mean, they have the right to say it. But people with these large platforms that are reposting this and trying to fuel that hatred should absolutely be stopped. Um, but let's get into my thoughts on the underlying, what they're claiming the underlying issue is. Um, I work in the healthcare field, so I have a, a pretty good reference or frame of reference when it comes to UHC, their denials, all of this stuff. And I can tell you guys firsthand, I have, let me get her off the screen. Um, I have seen many patients die because of United Healthcare and this, particularly United Healthcare and Humana, their claims, their denials. Blue Cross Blue Shield, yeah, Aetna, all of them do it, but Humana and UHC are definitely the worst. And the issue I think you're seeing with a lot of these people is, what a lot of people talking about it online. They're talking about the how unnecessary the healthcare field or the insurance field is, and the reforms that need to happen within the insurance field. And they're coming at it from the view of a reasonably healthy young person. Not they shouldn't have to have their healthcare tied to their employment. They shouldn't have to use insurance to go see the doctor for a checkup, things like that. The issue with UHC and what if that was the motive behind this shooting, um, the issues are not if you're a 40-year-old and you want to go to the doctor and get a checkup. The issue is with patients that are chronically ill, that are in very serious jeopardy of dying. That's what we're talking about here. I have had many patients that needed a home ventilator, and quick review on a home ventilator. What's going on is these are people with COPD, some sort of a breathing issue. They cannot expel enough carbon dioxide out of their lungs. So basically, that carbon dioxide is taking space up within your lungs that oxygen needs to reside in. So oxygen is not being stored in your lungs. It's not being carried to your cells. Your system's shut down because they're not being oxygenated enough. So what a ventilator does is it helps to not only bring in oxygen, but it helps to expel the carbon dioxide. Now, these people are sick. They are in a bad way, but they could absolutely be okay. I mean, they could still live a relatively long life if they have the care they need and they're able to store the amount of oxygen that they need to store. They need a little assistance. Um, if you've got asthma sometimes and you're having an asthma attack and you cannot breathe, you take a hit of the inhaler and you're okay. That doesn't mean you deserve to die. You just need a little assistance. Well, these ventilators, it's the same way. And I have seen many patients die because UHC denied the claim on their ventilator. And if any of you are in the medical field, or even if you're not, I'm sure it's not a hard concept to grasp. Um, Basically, these insurance companies will give you a checklist. Here's the criteria that you need to meet for us to approve your request for an authorization to get this medical equipment. Now, once UHC started this, and it was right after COVID, and all insurance companies were scrambling to make up money, just like everybody else after the COVID outbreak. They started denying everything. So people in my field started looking for, okay, why are we getting these denials? So we would pull their little checklist of here's what it needs, and Humana is just as bad, guys. Um, we would meet every criteria on that checklist, we'd get a denial. And that's part of what they're talking about on those showcasing is delay and deny. That's what they're talking about is, the insurance companies, what they'll do a lot of times is they will deny an initial claim to delay having to pay for it until it gets litigated. And that's kind of their game, and you can decide what that motivation is. Are they just trying to delay it long enough for the patient to die so then they don't have to worry about the claim? Or are they just trying to buy themselves a month or two and then they'll start paying it? I mean, it's probably a little bit of both, to be perfectly honest. Um, we would appeal after we get the denial. Send the appeal up. Hey, we met all your criteria. This patient badly needs this equipment. They would uphold, which means they're denying the claim again. So basically, this patient that badly needs this equipment does not get it. They go home because the hospital ain't going to keep them forever. They go home and die. I've seen it dozens and dozens of times just in my little scope, in my little world. I've seen it dozens of times. It sucks. It really sucks. I am no fan of these insurance companies. I'll tell you that right off the jump. I have seen it firsthand. I have seen many people die. It sucks. They need to change it. The first thing they need to do is Medicare, and what Medicare has done in order to cut costs is they've allowed these private insurance companies to create managed Medicare plans, which basically just says you have Medicare, but your Medicare is under UHC. So what they're doing is they put a social program of Medicare, and they're putting it under the leadership of a for-profit corporation. The two do not jive. You cannot mix socialism and for-profit, because all you're going to end up with is the for-profit people are going to make a profit. Medicare is not a for-profit program. It is only a for expense program. So that's the biggest issue is these managed Medicare plans. Medicare has handed over the reins, and they tell them that they have to abide by Medicare's guidelines, but they don't. And they just deny everything. This is true for things like ventilators. It's also true for things like for people who are ill. A lot of times if you're very ill, you'll go to the hospital, you'll get discharged, you'll go to a skilled nursing facility for 2 weeks or whatever, just because you're not ready to go home. You're not ready to be on your own, but you're not sick enough to stay in the hospital. So you go to what is like a skilled nursing facility for a couple of weeks. They continue to monitor you. They continue to take care of you. Then you're released back home. Well, these companies like UHC and Humana are denying these claims for the skilled nursing facilities. Instead of 2 weeks, they're giving them 2 days. Well, 2 days isn't near long enough. So these patients are not ready to be on their own. They're getting sent, they get sent home. They die. This is happening across the board for these chronically ill patients. So that's the mindset we need to be looking at with these insurance companies. Is it's not, you're a little bit sick and you got to go to the doctor. It's you're chronically ill. If you don't receive the care you need, you're going to die. And these insurance companies are not allowing you to get the care that you need. And this is care that you would be given if you just had Medicare. If you had straight Medicare, you would be getting the care you need. but under these Medicare managed plans, you are not. That's just the truth of it. The managed plans do have, and once again, it goes back to, they've got some benefits. It's cheaper generally. A lot of them will include prescription drugs within the plan, things like that. Once again, if you're not chronically ill, it's not a bad program. But if you get really sick and you really need insurance, they're not there for you. That's the reality of it, guys. Now, all that being said, that's my little rail because I've got a lot of background in that field. That's my little rail against the insurance companies and what they're doing. And I do have boots on the ground. I have seen it firsthand many times. All that being said, Brian Thompson absolutely did not deserve to die. Now, I think a case could be made for some of these CEOs and other, people in top leadership positions that are making the ultimate call on denials and things like that in the criteria. Did he deserve to go to jail? Very possibly. Very possibly. He did not deserve to die. I think it really sucks when you got people like this Taylor Lorenz and all these people, and they almost always seem to be on the left. They have such a cavalier attitude toward human life. And you see it all over the place now, California and Canada and all these places with this assisted suicide. We have so little regard for human life anymore. It just means next to nothing, which is crazy to me. There is no gift more valuable than human life, and we just disregard it. It means nothing to us. All these people are calling out this guy, Brian Thompson, deserves to die. Why? Who are you to decide if a person is worthy of life or death? Which would get us into the abortion argument, but we're not going to do that today. We won't go quite that far today. But it does all. I think it does all kind of stem from a lack of a lack of value placed on human life. Um, they don't care that Brian Thompson got killed. They don't care if the Blue Cross Blue Shield CEO gets killed. It just doesn't matter to them. Life doesn't mean anything. Their life does, but every other life doesn't mean anything. So I just want you guys to look at it. Step back. If you're mad at these insurance companies, trust me, nobody's madder at these insurance companies than I am. Believe me. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it okay to just kill people. It doesn't make it okay for us just to completely surrender to anarchy and chaos, because that ends poorly for everyone. So hopefully this will shed a little light on what these insurance companies are doing, and maybe we can litigate it. Maybe we can put a stop to it, but we absolutely need to stop the violence. It's got to end, guys. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on it. If you've had any history with these medical company or these insurance companies, not being able to get the care you need, things like that, let me know in the comments. Just let me know what you think. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you for the next one.